Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Music and Therapy Podcast with relationship coach Keana W. Mitchell. I am your host, Keana W. Mitchell. So today on the podcast, we are going to be talking about something that I think everyone can benefit from. But in addition to that, we're also going to be ending our series that talked about communication and how we can make it better. So today's episode is all about repairing communication after a conflict. Because let's be honest, conflict is inevitable, but disconnection doesn't have to be. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But before we get to that, we're going to just discuss a little bit of what we talked about a couple weeks ago when we talked about the power of active listening. So when we talked about active listening, we were talking about how listening is the foundation of every conversation and how it is possible to have conversations without actually listening. For example, if you have a habit, which I have at times, of thinking ahead, multitasking, watching television when someone's trying to talk to you, then we're having conversations without actively listening. And it's impossible to have a conversation without actively listening, because if you're not listening, we don't know what the person's trying to communicate with us, especially our family members, our husbands, wives, partners, kids. We have no clue what they're trying to communicate to us because we're busy doing something else. So if that is you, you understand and you know, just like I know, it is possible to have a conversation without having a meeting of the minds or actively listening. Last week we talked about how active listening is about presence, not performance. So it's not just about nodding your head or saying, it's really being fully engaged. I know I do this sometimes. My daughter will be telling me something. I'm like, yeah, and then she'll say, Mom, what did I say? And I'm like, yeah, because I wasn't actively listening. So actively listening is about not just sitting there, not just being there, but actually listening to what's being said, not nodding our heads like we're agreeing, but actually listening to what is being said so that we can fully engage with the person that we are talking to. Number 2, validation doesn't mean agreement. Guys, I know this is difficult, this is so hard, but we have to understand, myself included, that when we validate someone, we don't have to agree. All we're doing is saying, I acknowledge your feelings. And you can acknowledge someone's feelings and how they are feeling without agreeing with their perspective or their actions. So just remember that validation doesn't mean agreement. Another thing we talked about last week that I thought was really good is how reflective statements build trust. So saying things like, it sounds like you felt overwhelmed, when you say things like that, it actually shows that you're trying to understand and not just respond. So many times we can assume what we think the other person is saying and then give a response based off our assumption, which could be totally wrong. So having those reflective statements and just repeating back what they said to them is a way to help them know, hey, this person cares, they're listening, they're actually trying to see and understand my feelings, my point of view, and where I'm coming from. So reflective statements are big because they do build trust. And it's very important for us to build trust when it comes to communication. In addition to this episode on active listening that was done a couple of weeks ago, over the past couple of weeks, I went back into the vault and I pulled out a couple of episodes that I'm pretty sure you guys are going to enjoy. One was talking about how to survive a divorce, and then the other one was talking about how to leave an abusive relationship. So if any one of these 3 podcast episodes resonates with you guys, make sure you click on the links in the show note so you can go back and listen to the full episodes of these podcasts. Now, let's talk about why repairing communication after conflict is so important, especially in romantic relationships. So, as I said earlier, conflict is inevitable. We are 2 different people with different backgrounds, different triggers, and emotional wiring. So, the fact that you and your significant other is having conflict doesn't surprise me, nor should it surprise you, because that is normal. But what determines the health and longevity of your relationship isn't how often you fight. It's about how you recover. So one of my favorite authors, researchers, Dr. John Gottman, he is one of the leading researchers in relationship psychology. And he found that couples who stay together long term aren't the ones who avoid conflict. They're the ones who know how to make repair attempts. Those small gestures and phrases or actions that say, I care more about us than about being right. Some of the reasons why repair attempts sustain romantic relationships is that they can interrupt the cycle of escalation. So, a well timed, I'm sorry, or can we start over, or I really didn't mean to hurt your feelings. All of these things can stop a fight from spiraling into an emotional damage. Emotional damage is when you say things that you can never take back, but that hurt so deeply until your partner or your spouse, they're unable to get over it because of what you said hurt them so deeply. So that's what we call emotional damage. Now, when we have a repair attempt, it helps to build emotional safety. So when your partner knows that you'll come back after a conflict, they feel secure even during hard conversations, because sometimes when you have those hard conversations or those conflicts, you might feel like your spouse doesn't love you anymore, you might feel like your partner doesn't care. But when they know, okay, we can have this conversation, we can have this discussion, and I know that they're going to come back after the conflict, I know we're going to repair this, we're going to make it work, we're going to figure it out. When they know that, that builds emotional safety and security. Repair attempts reinforce commitment. So when you have a repair attempt, it just says, hey, I'm still here. I still choose you. And that's a powerful thing to have in a relationship, knowing that you can talk about anything. And it also creates a freedom. You know, they don't feel like they have to walk on eggshells around you. They don't feel like they just can't say anything around you because things are going to get out of control. There's a freedom that when you trust someone and you know that even if you argue, you're going to be respectful and apologize. And if you say something that hurts their own feelings, to know that your spouse cares and they're going to try to make things better really does help the situation. Repair attempts also help to model vulnerability. So when you reach out first, you show that love is more important than pride. When you're able to be vulnerable and say things like, well, I reacted this way because I was feeling this way, or it triggered this, or it reminded me of this situation. You are being vulnerable and you're letting your spouse or partner know why you acted the way you did. And when they can do the same thing to you, you are being vulnerable. So just by you modeling vulnerability can help them model vulnerability as well and be vulnerable and tell you exactly what's going on instead of trying to be hardcore and not letting their walls down to let you in. Repair attempts can also prevent emotional residue. And emotional residue is just unrepaired conflict. Sometimes it can leave behind resentment. And repair attempts kind of clear the air. So let's say you're in the midst of an argument and things are getting heated, and your spouse makes a joke or say, well, I guess I didn't do a good job with that, or well, I guess I whatever. But they said it in a joking way, that can clear the air. That can totally take a tense situation to be in an untense situation and where you guys can laugh. So being able to joke in the middle of an argument. Now, of course, you know your spouse, you know how things go in your home. So I would say if you want to make a joke in the middle of an argument, do it if you know it will go over well. But you know your spouse and you know yourself. So do things that will kind of clear the air, like reset. Even if you have to say, you know what, this is getting really difficult to talk about. I'm really getting frustrated. Let's take a time out. Let's start over. And then talk about what you want to say. So just doing small things like that can definitely help to repair the conversation. That's in the repair attempt. And it also clears the air so that you guys can take a breather and then start the conversation over. Repair attempts also create a culture of connection. So over time, couples who repair well develop a rhythm of resilience. That means they just bounce back faster and grow stronger even when they have the most difficult conversations because they were able to repair any damage that was done and walk away leaving their partner feel loved. So you see how repair attempts can definitely help a situation. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to give you a scenario, okay? The first scenario is going to be a scenario without a repair attempt. And then the second scenario is going to be a scenario with a repair attempt. And we're going to do it that way because I want you to see what argument or disagreement might look like without a repair attempt. And then I want to show you what a repair attempt is so that we can use this when we are having disagreements or in our everyday lives, okay? Scenario number one, this is without a repair attempt. So Jasmine and Marcus have a heated argument about Marcus forgetting their anniversary. Okay, yeah, that's pretty bad, huh? So Jasmine feels hurt and unimportant. Marcus feels attacked and misunderstood. They both retreat into silence. Days go by. No one apologizes. No one reaches out. The tension builds. Eventually, they start avoiding each other emotionally. The relationship begins to erode, not because of the fight, but because the lack of repair. Scenario number two, same couple, same fight, but this time, the next morning, Marcus says, I messed up. I know that day matters to you, and I'm sorry. Can we talk about how you felt? Jasmine, still hurt, responds, Thank you for saying that. I felt really dismissed. I needed you to show up for me. They talk, they cry, they reconnect. The fight becomes a moment of growth, not destruction. So that is the power of repair. It's not about being perfect, but it's about being intentional, about choosing love even when things get hard. And the thing about repair attempts, let's think about it like this. In every relationship, there are going to be things that kind of break down, just like with our cars, right? Sometimes your battery might go out, you might have a flat tire. Like, here's an example. The other day, I was driving and I noticed that my car was getting bumpy and I had a flat tire. You know how you hear the so I was hearing that. So I had to stop, look at my tire. And you know what I did? I took it straight to the shop and got it fixed. Now imagine what would have happened if I did not get the tire fixed and I just kept driving on the flat tire. Yeah, I could have had an accident. I would have definitely damaged my wheel. I would have damaged the tire. So if the same thing goes with a relationship. Like, if things are starting to break down and you guys are arguing about something and you hurt the other person's feelings and you notice that your arguments are not being resolved and that there's just a lot of tension, if you guys don't work on that to repair it, you are definitely going to damage the relationship, just like I would damage my tire if I continue to ride on it when I noticed that it was flat. Repair attempts is just like what I did when I noticed my tire was flat. I went to the shop and repaired it, right? So with you, you don't have to go to a shop to repair it, but you can definitely say those words like, I messed up, or how did that make you feel? I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have said that. Just by making the first step, putting in that effort to be first and let that person know, hey, I'm so sorry, is a way you can repair the situation, okay? So that is why repair attempts are very important. And it's a powerful thing when you are able to tell someone you're sorry and you understand why they got upset. Very, very key to keeping your relationship whole and healthy. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to talk about 6 practical skills for repairing communication. All of these repair attempts are inspired by Dr. John Gottman and his research on repair attempts. Now, these small but powerful gestures can help couples de-escalate tension and reconnect. So number 1, use soothing language. Instead of jumping into problem solving, start with emotional regulation. Say something like, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Can we take a break and come back to this later? By letting your partner know, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Can we take a break later? They'll know that, okay, they're going to come back. We're going to talk about this later. They just need a break. And all of that is very helpful because you can't problem solve if you're overwhelmed, frustrated, angry. You do need to take a break and calm down a lot. You do need to have these conversations in an emotionally healthy way. Another thing you can do is express appreciation. So conflict often makes us forget about the good. Instead of focusing on the conflict, try saying something like, I know we're upset right now, but I really appreciate how much you care about this. Or, I know we're upset right now, but I really appreciate how passionate you are about this topic. It shows that you care about our relationship. And it doesn't have to be those exact words, but you get the gist of it, right? Something along those lines. So if you use something along those lines in expressing appreciation, even though the person might be mad at you or you guys might be frustrated and upset at each other right now, that's a way to kind of de-escalate and let them know, I know we're upset right now, but I see that you care, I still care. And that is something we can do. Another repair attempt, and this is something that is difficult. Oh my goodness, this is something you guys might even cringe at. Here we go. Taking responsibility. And yes, Take responsibility even if you weren't wrong. Now, listen, I am not telling you to take responsibility for everything wrong that happens in your relationship, okay? I am not saying be like the punching bag for everything, be like, yeah, I was wrong, I was wrong, I was wrong, I was wrong. No, I'm not saying that. But when we think about it, let's be honest. All of us, even if we didn't initially start something, we all have done something to get that conversation to where it was. The conversation took a wrong turn. Absolutely. But when we think about what did I say to lead the conversation down this path? What did I do? What did my body language say? What did my body language do to get us here? When we think about it like that, we can say, I'm sorry, and own our part in the disagreement. So that is very powerful. Being able to say, even if you didn't start the conversation, even if you might be right, being able to say, I shouldn't have raised my voice. I'm sorry for how I handled that. Let your partner know that you are taking responsibility for the thing that you did. And all of us, when it comes to conversations and arguments and disagreements, we all have a part in that, even if we didn't start it. Like, we may roll our eyes. We may be like, oh, whatever we did something to get it to that point, even if we did not start it. So being able to, as you said in a couple episodes before about self-awareness, just being self-aware enough to be able to take responsibility for the part that we did play in this disagreement or argument is a thing that we can do for the relationship, and it's powerful. And it's a way of repairing the damage that has been done. Another thing we can do is ask clarifying questions instead of assuming, which we all do sometimes. We can do things like, can you help me understand why you're feeling this way? Can you help me understand why you reacted this way? Can you help me understand what just happened? By saying these things, we're asking clarifying questions, and if we are listening, active listening, guys, we will be able to hear what our spouse is telling us. And sometimes, I know for me, sometimes what I say is not really what I mean. So I may be mad about something, but I'm really mad about something else. But this is like just the tip of the iceberg, the straw that broke the camel's back. I've been mad about it for a while, but this is the thing that pushed me over the edge. So being able to ask these questions like, hey, I know you're getting really upset about this. What's going on? What's happening? Being able to find out where this is coming from, where this is stemming from, and being able to help address that problem is something that we can definitely do to help repair the communication in our relationship. Now, when we make a repair attempt, Dr. Gottman calls these bids for connection. So we can say things like, can we start over? I don't want to fight. I want to understand where you're coming from. Or let's take a deep breath together. Being able to make these type of repair attempts is huge when it comes to getting bids for connection in the midst of an argument instead of allowing disconnection to come into our relationships and just destroy them. Remember, when we make repair attempts, we are also making a bid for connection. Another thing that I love about this is that we can focus on the future. So once our emotions settle, we can shift towards solutions. So when we shift towards solutions, we can say things like, how can we handle this differently next time? What do you need from me moving forward? Because in the midst of an argument, we're not thinking about solutions because we can't really come up with them. We're focusing on our emotions and what's happening in that moment. But when we settle down, it's very important that we say things like, how can we handle this differently next time? You can even say, I really love you. I don't like to argue with you. How can we handle this differently next time? Or you can say, what do you need from me moving forward so that we don't get to this point again? Just little things like that can go a long way in helping your relationship. Focus on the future and think about how you can change the situation next time. Because you can't change it now. That has already happened. But you can definitely change it next time. That is a powerful thing that you can do. Make repair attempts. Now, what we're going to do right now, we're going to walk through a couple of real life scenarios where these skills can be applied. Scenario number 1. After a heated discussion, one partner says, I felt unheard when I brought up the budget. The other partner responds, I didn't realize that. I was focused on my own stress. I'm sorry. Can we talk about it calmly now? This is something that's important. And I know it may seem silly to you to have, to go over it and practice it, but it has to be practiced. It's something that we need to do, because I noticed that when we are in our emotions, it's hard to actually follow through with all the common sense things that we know we should do, because our emotions have taken over. When we practice and we talk through these things, like, what if this happens? Like, think about a fight that you and your spouse have had, right? And think about the argument, think about what you normally would say, because I know every couple has that one argument that they always have. It's never been resolved, and they say pretty much the same things, make the same points, right? So think about those arguments. Think about those times that you have had these arguments over and over, the points that have been made, the things that have been said, and mentally just go through it in your mind. And while you're going through it, think about how you can begin to make repair attempts, so that when you are in the moment and you are in these arguments, you'll know how to respond from a place of compassion and kindness and grace rather than emotions. We're going to go to scenario number 2, and this can just be with friends. We can apply it even with friendships, right? Let's say one friend feels left out after not being invited to an event. So the other one will say something like, I didn't mean to exclude you. I'm sorry. I value our friendship and want to make it right. So then they can also follow up with something like, can we plan something together soon? These moments aren't perfect, but these things are real, and it's things that we can begin doing now. So guys, for your homework, I want you to practice, practice, practice repair attempts. And like I said, you can do this with your kids. You can do repair attempts with your spouse, your partner, your significant other, family members, people at work. I just want you to practice a couple repair attempts this week, so that we can get used to apologizing and understanding where people are coming from. And we can be able to recognize when we can actually use repair attempts in our everyday lives, especially in our romantic relationship. Now, the song we're going to listen to today is a song that I wrote, and it's called I Messed Up. And it's about a woman who realizes that she messed up in her relationship and that she's sorry. And our song this week is going to be sung by our podcast artist, Emery Rose. So here is the song, I Messed Up.
I know I told you before that it wouldn't happen no more. I wanted you to trust me and forget the things that I did. You welcomed me with open arms. You totally forgave all my wrongs. And how do I repay you? I did something I shouldn't do. I know I broke your heart and took away your trust in this thing that we call love. I know I broke your heart and took away your trust in this thing that we call love. Saying sorry is not enough to tell you how I feel. I know I messed up, 'cause I'm just being real. Saying sorry is not enough to tell you how I feel. I know I messed up, 'cause I'm just being real. You won't answer my call. I can say I'm not surprised. I feel all of your pain when I look into your eyes. I don't know what to say. Should I ask you to forgive me? I know I want you to stay, but maybe you should walk away. I know I broke your heart and took away your trust in this thing that we call love. I know I broke your heart and took away your trust in this thing that we call love. Saying sorry is not enough to tell you how I feel. I know I messed real. Saying sorry is not enough to tell you how I feel. I know I messed up, cause I'm just being real. Saying sorry is not enough to tell you how I feel. I know I messed up, cause I'm just being real. Saying sorry is not enough to tell you how I feel. I know I messed up, cause I'm just being real.
Before we wrap up, here's this week's homework assignment, okay? I want you to think of a recent conflict. What repair attempts could you make today? What's one phrase you can say to open the door to healing? And I want you to write it down and practice it. And if you feel ready, I want you to say it. So we can just get in the mindset of working on repair attempts and using repair attempts in our relationships. Thank you guys so much for spending time with me this week. I really, really enjoyed our time together. And remember, conflict doesn't mean the end. It's an invitation to grow, to listen, and to love more deeply. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who might need to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss a moment of healing and connection. Until next time, I am Keana W. Mitchell, and I hope you have an amazing day and a wonderful weekend. Bye bye.